delivery. And poking on, it's in for the Matildas. And now Fowler.
That we were all huddled around our screens for the Olympic Games. Can I start by acknowledging the traditional custodians of all the lands from where you're joining us tonight? I pay my respects to their elders past and present, and I extend that respect to everyone of Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander descent who is with us this evening. How are you? Tokyo done and dusted? The Matildas' focus, of course, shifts to the next 2 years, which will culminate in the World Cup of 2023. Now, that journey, of course, starts tonight, or let's be honest, it starts in the early hours of the morning. Ireland hosting the Commonwealth Matildas at Tulla Stadium in Dublin. As you can see, coverage from 3:30 a.m. Eastern. Have your coffee mugs ready, and it'll be live and free on 10 and simulcast on 10 Play. Well, I could tell you someone who will be up bright and early to watch is former Matilda all-round Canberra legend, commentator Grace Gill. Grace, welcome. How are you in lockdown in the ACT? How are you going?
I'm good, Steph. Thanks so much. It's good to be here. Good to talk to you again. And not too bad here in the ACT. We're entering about our 6th week of lockdown. So by all accounts, we can't complain too much.
Yeah, I'm in hotel quarantine at the moment, and my suburb, when I get, is in about its 17th week of lockdown. So many of us on this call will almost feel your pain, but it's so good to see you again. And everyone, well, Grace, yeah, Grace and I are going to run the rule over the Matildas along with another special guest who's going to join us shortly. But make sure you send us any questions you have. You can flick them through us on whatever platform you prefer. Now, Grace, we haven't met in person since the W League Grand Final, or virtually even since the Olympics, which seriously, it feels like a lifetime ago. And back then we were discussing the prospects for the Matildas in Tokyo, and it did have a heartbreaking finish, let's be honest. But what did you make of the Olympic campaign as a whole?
Yeah, look, it does feel like it's been years, Steph, but the Olympics does feel a while ago already. But you're right, it was a tough way to bow out for the girls. I think what the Olympics showed was real signs of progress and development. It's a team, it's a squad that's been building, and I think when we reflect back on some of those early friendly games prior to the Olympics to their end result, just narrowly missing out against the USA on a podium finish. We're talking about the Matildas finishing on the podium at the Olympics. So I think comparing that to sort of a few years gone by, there's incredible development there, and they're still a long way from being in their prime in terms of the progress of this squad. So really promising signs, and a lot more to come from this group yet.
Yeah, it's going to be so exciting to see what that future looks like. We'll get a bit of a glimpse of that tonight, and we are going to be joined by one of the stars of that Olympic team in a moment, but hit you up with some questions first. And as promised, send your questions through and we'll get to all of them. We can see one here from Nick. Grace, which younger players would you like to see start the match tonight?
Oh, good question. We have the luxury of there being a number of young players coming into this squad. I'd love to see the likes of, an India Paige Riley get some minutes on the pitch, or even a Jamila Rankin, really new faces, new names to this Matilda squad. So to test themselves on an international stage around really quality players, that would be fantastic to see some of those young girls.
Yeah, amazing, because it feels like 5 minutes ago we were calling these players in the W League and saying how fantastic it was and what wonderful progress they were making. Now, make sure you keep your questions coming for Grace throughout the evening, and of course for our special guest who's coming up in just a moment. But as we mentioned, our focus shifts now, and we're going to talk to Simon in just a sec. But first, let's have a look at what the girls are up to in training. It is hard work, but they're also having a bit of fun. Let's see what you're missing out on, Kyah.
Last minute start. Go! Yes! Big save.
Good timing! Stay focused. Last couple of minutes here.
Now, I reckon Sammy will be hoping she does that tonight to celebrate her 100th cap and sticking the ball in the back of the net to get past Tim Cahill's, or inch closer to Tim Cahill's record for national team goals. Speaking of 100 caps, Kyah Simon, you chalked up 100 appearances while you're in the Tokyo Olympics. You've taken off to London now, so you've missed out on all that training, but how are you?
Yeah, I'm doing well. I'm here in London, obviously playing with the Spurs, and really settled in well. London life is suiting me really well, and the team's definitely welcomed me with open arms, as well as all the staff and the club. So yeah, I can't complain. Definitely enjoying my first few weeks here.
Well, seriously, with a win over Manchester City and a first-time win for Tottenham Hotspur over one of the top three clubs, you've started with a bang, I've got to say. But as Grace and I were reflecting on the Olympics, and you had such a big part in that and such a wonderful tournament, you've had a chance to have a think, have a look back. How do you reflect on that Olympic campaign?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I think it was definitely the one tournament in my career that I feel that I felt the best I ever have. And, you know, I guess going back and thinking that I had surgery in March, and then, you know, fast forwarding to the Olympic game, how good I felt. I mean, a lot of it was down to the preparation that we had as a squad under TG, the 6 weeks leading into the Olympics. I felt like I was in great shape, and also by the end of the tournament, by the last game, I definitely felt like I could have kept going, which is always a positive sign. So, I mean, on a personal note, it was definitely a career highlight for me, just in terms of, you know, what I could give to the team and how I felt that I performed and how I felt physically. But then as a team, I guess achievement and I guess the success that we, you know, made as a team and how far we got. Unfortunately, you know, disappointing that we didn't walk away with a medal, because we truly believe that we should have. But yeah, I think all around there was a lot of positives to take away from the tournament.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with that, Kyah. And I think Australia were, right there with you and falling disappointingly short. But I couldn't agree more in terms of your campaign. Like, I think you were in your prime, and I think the comments you've just reflected on there and how you felt certainly was how it looked on the screen. So well done. And as much as we'd love to see you in this match against the Republic of Ireland, it's not to be. But under TG, tell us a bit like what he's like on game day. So for different coaches, they've got sort of different processes and different timings. What does game day look for the girls over there today?
So TJ is pretty relaxed. I mean, it's pretty heavy, I guess, weighted in terms of tactics and information leading into game day. And then game day, it's really brief. He doesn't like to overload us with information. We obviously have a pre-game meeting at the hotel, and then he kind of leaves the afternoon of, you know, it's full of meals basically, you know what it's like on a game day, but kind of leaves everyone for their own individual preparation. And I guess we all trust the process. We trust in that he gives us, and he trusts in us as, you know, professionals and individuals that will do what we need and what we each individually, you know, like to do on game day, and we show up to a game and we're ready to go. So he's a pretty cool you know, cucumber as he prepares on game day, but definitely leading into that intense and very, I guess, focused on attention to detail, which I think alleviates that pressure on us when we come game day, that we're well equipped and prepared to go into that match.
And on that point, has he, I know you're not there with the group today, but has he spoken much about sort of the purpose or the intention, that I guess the motivation behind today's match? Is he looking to experiment a bit? Is he looking for results? Has he spoken at length about that?
I mean, not too much. I mean, just from obviously being under him in the pre-game or pre-Olympics games, and then also in the Olympics. I mean, he sees every match in the end. There's always, you know, underlying motive behind what he does. He never just goes into a friendly just to play a friendly game. He's going in there, obviously he's results driven, but at the same time he's also focused on the bigger picture. So if that means experimenting and giving young players a go, then that might be, you know, one of his aims for this game. But I definitely know that he would love to walk away with a win, but also with his sights on the bigger picture and, exposing some players to international football possibly, but at the same time giving the core group an opportunity to play another match together.
Well, Kyah, of course, you're one of, I think there's 6 players who featured at the Olympics that aren't in camp at the moment. We can see by your Spurs top that you are in London, and I think you've either just gone to training or just come back from training, haven't you? I know you were stuck on a motor a few minutes ago. So we're glad that we've got you. But one result of your brilliant performance in Tokyo is that Spurs coach Rhian Skinner she got a really good look at you. She clearly liked what she saw. What was it that she said to you that made you think Spurs was your next home?
Yeah, I mean, I had a good chat with Rhian around, I guess, her view on where she sees Spurs going in the next couple of years. She definitely found plans and said that, I want to play you up front and I know you can score goals and I know you've got kind of a nose in front of the goal. So, I want to bring you in to do that, whether it's scoring, assisting or just bringing your experience and your knowledge of the game into the group. And my gut feel, it was the right decision, and definitely after being here for a month or so and obviously meeting her in person, meeting the group of girls and, having my debut on the weekend against Man City and beating them for the first time in club history was a bit of a dream debut, minus not scoring, but that's all right. And I'm really happy with my decision to be here. Spurs are an unbelievable club, so professional. The facilities are second to none, like I've never seen before. So, I can't complain, and hopefully we can do something special together as a team.
Now, as a Man City fan, I'm tempted to bump you off this call. Sorry, Grace, to interrupt. Had to get my dig in. But, Kyah, just tell us, you played in America, Australia, obviously, the Netherlands last season, and now in England. How does the English League, the WSL, how does it compare? Because it's been so attractive to Aussies over the last 18 months or so.
Yeah, I think definitely it's an attractive league. I think also the fact that, the European scheduling is you play for the one club all year round. So you have a proper pre-season, Christmas break and off-season. And I think as Australian footballers, we haven't really had that before when we've gone from the W League to the American League back and forth. So I think that's one attractive aspect. I think also you can't complain about the quality of players within this league and within the teams. And definitely in the last few years, there's been more attractiveness to come to this league from international players, the English talent, the local talent, and the young players coming through is great quality as well. And I think also the style of play, it's kind of encompasses a lot of the style of play that I enjoy myself. It's got that football, kind of knowledge and tactical awareness in the game, but also that physical component and the street smarts, obviously, that English footballers are known for. So I think it definitely touches on a lot of the key points, what makes a quality league, and it doesn't surprise me why there's so much interest from international players to want to come and be a part of this league.
Yeah, certainly. And I know we're all really excited to see you as part of the Spurs and see you compete in the WSL. And Steph's just mentioned there as well around your 100 caps and that coming up at Tokyo. And that's just a massive achievement. And I remember Kyah, us being in one of our very early Young Matildas camps together. And I honestly knew at that point that you'd have a really long and successful career, and you're much better than me. So it made sense. But well done on your 100 caps. And just interested for you to reflect on that at Tokyo. How did you feel going into your 100th game? And I guess looking to Sammy in her 100th game, how do you think she's going to be feeling ahead of the game later against Ireland?
Yeah, I mean, it was mixed emotions, obviously, because obviously with the result not going our way. But I mean, it's such a privilege to say that I've played 100 times for my country. It was obviously a dream of mine to play, my first cap and represent Australia, and to do that at the age of 16, and now, 14 years down the track, to say that I've played 100 times for the Matildas is definitely a huge honour for me. It's not been an easy road. I'm sure everyone's definitely aware of kind of my history and the ups and downs that I've had to go through, and I think that makes it even more sweeter to say that I did get here and I did play 100 times and hopefully many more to come. And one of the things that I said to the girls around it was I didn't want to make it kind of about that milestone. Obviously, Ellie had her 50th on the day as well, and we knew what was at stake on that game. So I kind of just wanted to shift the focus on that, and hopefully we get the result that we wanted to. Unfortunately, it wasn't to be, and it wasn't that kind of fairy tale 100th cap. But it's a special moment, and I definitely know that Sammy will enjoy it. You know, disappointing that, you know, there's 5 or 6 of us that were there from the start and we won't be there to celebrate it with her in person, but I'm sure we'll share our love and support and send it her way for this occasion.
Oh, I'm sure that you'll definitely be able to celebrate sometime soon. And when you speak about the trials and tribulations, Kyah, I remember when you got your scholarship at NSWIS, and I think you promptly broke your leg, didn't you? And that ended your first year of football. But you've done so incredibly well, and you should be celebrating these milestones. We've got some social media questions for you here, and this is for both of you ladies. Any celebrations in the making that you know of for Sammy?
Any celebrations, was it?
Yeah.
Well, I can probably throw out maybe a backflip if she scores. I don't know where I plucked that one from, but she seems to be known for those. So possibly she might throw a backflip out for the occasion, but we'll see.
Grace, what do you reckon?
Oh, look, it's almost rude if we don't see a backflip, isn't it?
Expectations now. Now, Kyah, seeing you've spent a lot of time in camp with them recently, which teammate is the easiest to scare? Nikki's saying there's some impressive screams in the squad.
I would have to say probably Alana. Lance would probably be she's pretty jumpy. So, yeah, she's an easy one to get, I think.
Well, does that flow on to who's the loudest player in the team?
The loudest, I definitely have to be Lydia. Lids for sure, yeah.
Now, Grace, you know Liz really well. Does that twig with what you think? Because she's always picked as the class clown and the one to have the most fun as well, isn't she?
Well, I think those two questions go hand in hand, both the scaring and the loudest. That's Lydia in a nutshell. Terrifying. Like I can hear her squeal in my head.
So, Macca Arnold's, which Matilda has the best fashion style? Is this a loaded question, do you think? Kyah, who's the fashionista?
I think is that from the Mackenzie Arnold? Is this her fake account? She's teeing herself up. It's hard to pinpoint. I think we've all got our own unique style, but if you want to make, I guess, your own decision, you can just jump on all of our Instagrams and see which fashion style is more so up your alley.
Okay, being away from Australia, what food, Kyah, do you miss the most? And if you say Vegemite, I am going to dumble.
Well, I've got Vegemite here with me over here in London, so I don't miss that too much. But I would definitely have to say the coffee from home. Nothing beats it. Just going out for a nice Aussie brunch, and I'd have to say also a good home cooked meal that mum's cooked. I think, yeah, you can't really do that on your own when you're away so far from home. So yeah, I miss those two things the most, I think.
Hopefully when borders open, you'll be able to get mum over for a home-cooked meal at your place in London, and she'll be able to come and watch you at that fabulous stadium, because much as I'm not a Spurs fan, I'm in love with your stadium. So we look forward to at some point being able to see you play there in person. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. I know we need to let you go, but all the best for your season with Spurs, and we look forward to seeing you in green and gold very soon.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. And go the Tillies.
Absolutely. Now, of course, everyone, keep your questions coming. Grace is sticking around with me. And wow, Kyah Simon, how hard is it to believe that back in 2007 she made her Matildas debut? Of course, 14 years on the national team, and we're now seeing a new wave of fresh faces come through, which Grace and I are going to chat about in a moment. But Adelaide defender Charlie Grant is one of the debutantes that was in the Olympic squad. She clearly did enough to earn another call-up to the current Matildas camp. And folks, that gave her two things to celebrate. Let's have a look.
Happy birthday to you. Hooray! 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 Oh my God, it's so good. Happy birthday, Charlie. Happy birthday.
No, just thank you everyone for making my birthday feel so special away from home. So grateful and honoured to be surrounded by all of you, and enjoy the cake and and let's get the win tomorrow.
Sorry? Take a photo. Smell it.
Enjoy. Delicious.
Happy 20th birthday to Charlie Grant. Looks like she had multiple cakes, Grace. What a way to celebrate.
Oh, look, it's not bad at all.
I was actually hoping when Sam was leaning over the cake that Charlie was going to give her a tap on the back of the head, and that would have been. Now, she, of course, is one of these players that I alluded to earlier that we looked at throughout the W League season and commented on her progress. Seeing her in this company, this is no real surprise for you, is it?
Yeah, look, not at all. And Charlie Grant, she's got a great future ahead of her in this Matilda side. To see her get pulled up into the Olympic squad, I think she's the kind of player, you mentioned there, the W League. She had a fantastic season with Adelaide United, and she's really put a name out into the Matildas kind of realm. It's lovely to see her there. And I think she's the kind of player that when she's going to be around that environment, whether it be the Matildas players and their experience or just that international stage, I think she's going to be the kind of young player that really thrives in that environment, and she's just going to really pick up and take that in her stride. And she's one of a few of these younger players that we've seen coming into this Matilda squad. And yeah, I've got no doubt that she'll be there for many years to come too, Steph.
Yeah, I think you're right. And of course, she's made the move to FC Rosengard, and I've probably botched the pronunciation of club appallingly. Her experience overseas as well. It's an area, of course, the defence that's needed some attention in recent times, and it was great to see her getting a run in Tokyo. How much of an important move do you think it is, the club move overseas as well, Grace?
Yeah, I think it's I think when one of these girls is heading over to Europe and joining up with one of these teams, it's basically saying I need to put my name on the map in Europe if I want to be considered as part of this Matilda side. And Tony's made it very obvious that to be considered, you need to be over there, front of mind. And she's made that move, and I think that sends a really strong message. And I think it will be a really good shift to her for European football and just getting some experience at that level.
I think it's really tough for some of these players, though, and we know that two in particular, in Emma Checker and Jenna McCormick, they had less than amazing experiences, the former in Spain and Emma Checker in France. Some of it due to COVID, some of it due to it not experience they were after. Now they are back in this side after the disappointment of missing out on the Olympics, and it's kind of good, isn't it, to see some of those experienced players come back in and get another chance.
Yeah, it really is. And I think the likes of Checker and Jenna, they're both such quality athletes, and you've mentioned there, they had less than favourable experiences in France and Spain respectively. And I think to come back and to try and build yourself back into international squads shows a level of resilience. I know that those girls had a really hard time internationally, and similarly they're looking to get themselves back into this Matilda squad and to say to Tony, look, I'm still here, I'm still working for a spot. In terms of experience in the team, they'd be considered some of the older girls now in sort of their mid to late 20s. So really important for them, but also just really impressive, showing the resilience that they've displayed to get themselves back there.
Yeah, the older squad. Seriously, that makes me feel like a grandmother. But when you talk about resilience, another one of the players in this squad, and one that might have felt hard done by that she wasn't included and didn't make the cut for Tokyo, Amy Harrison is back in the mix. Now, she had a decent season with PSV, although I think she had COVID, maybe even twice, perhaps. So had a tough run with the pandemic. But I thought she was pretty unlucky, really, to have missed out given the dearth of defenders that we had. What do you think? I mean, it's not the first time she's dealt with bad luck in her career, is it, Grace?
No, not at all. And I'm really pleased to see Amy Harrison included back in this squad. She had a really awful run with injury there, ACLs, and I think everyone's heart broke when we saw her go down again for her ACL in the W League. But she has worked her way back into this side. You've mentioned there she had a really impressive season with PSV, and just to build back some confidence and match fitness, I think a few eyebrows were raised when she wasn't included in the Tokyo squad. So I'm sure, just like many of these girls, she's going to be looking to impress. If she gets some minutes with Ireland, I'm sure she's going to be looking to establish herself. And a good thing about Amy Harrison, I guess, is that she's versatile in the sense that she can play either in the midfield in sort of a defensive holding role, or she can be deployed in a fullback position. And you'd think about someone like a KK, who unfortunately has had some injury troubles of her own, but she can play a defensive midfield role as well as a fullback. And I sort of see Amy Harrison as a similar kind of player in this Matilda side.
Well, she is carrying a bit of a niggle tonight, so hopefully she will get a run, but unlikely to be starting. You mentioned her versatility to be able to drop into the midfield as well. And as we move further up the park, there's obviously the likes of Mary Fowler, but let's talk about, besides her, the other young forwards. Who are you looking forward to seeing?
Yeah, well, we've got our usual suspects in the way of Sam Kerr and Gill, but I mentioned earlier India Page Riley. Also, she's not as much of a forward player, but someone like Claire Wheeler coming into this side, she's had a fantastic season on the back of the W League with Sydney FC. So for her to get an opportunity on the international stage, I think is really important. And Remy Simpson as well, again, a really impressive campaign with Sydney FC, and I think that's a really well-deserved call-up, and it would be fantastic to see her get some minutes as well.
Yeah, it really would. I can't wait to see this match tonight. It's going to be really interesting to see who he deploys, because it is a time when he's less focused, as he says, on performance and more for preparation heading into 2023. Now, we're going to take your final questions, everyone, on social media. But before we do that, let's have a quick insider peek at what the Matildas have been up to in their spare time.
Hi everyone, welcome to Charlie
And Carly's
Castle Tour. Let's go. With our special guest, Indy. Hi, thanks for having me. On the left, we have the Castle of Ireland, the most famous one that is here. Here is the actual front of the castle. I even hear Prince Harry came and stood in front of this very castle. I think he wanted his wedding here, to be honest. To the garden. This is our Irish friend. Do you want to do my video? I take that as a no. Is this where all the butterflies are? Oh my gosh.
Hey, look who I spotted. It's Emily Cuny. What a beautiful butterfly. That's it for today.
Thanks for joining us. Bye.
Oh, ladies, I'm glad they can play football, Grace. That's a big relief. Now, we're almost out of time, but Grace, let's take a couple of quick questions. How does the team now go forward to playing more consistent in both attack and defence? And with this current team, what formation do you think suits them best?
Okay, it's a big question. Let's talk formation. Look, I think what we've seen Tony experiment with is a couple of different formations. They've definitely played around with more of a 3-5-2. I think it seems as though a lot of teams internationally are moving towards this, overloading the midfield, providing some more attacking options. Ideally, you want your team to be able to move fluidly between the two kind of formations. So whether you go your more traditional 4-3-3, 3-5-2, that's a very dismissive way to not answer that question.
I think you did spectacularly well. One more, not planning on sleeping tonight. I'm not even mad about it. Who would have thought? I'm guessing you agree with Cecilia there, correct?
Not a question, it's a statement. 100% there with you, Cecilia.
Great stuff. Well, just a reminder of what you've got to look forward to. All the action coming your way as the Matildas take on Ireland in Dublin in the early hours of tomorrow morning. You can tune in at 3:30 a.m. when the coverage starts. It's live and free on Channel 10 and simulcast on 10 Play. Grace Gill, before you go, give me your prediction.
We're going to have a dominant Matildas performance, 3-1.
Fantastic. And we're going to see the entire squad on the park. Grace, as always, you are the absolute best. It's been so good to see you. Thank you.
Likewise, Steph. Thank you.
And thanks to all of you who've joined us tonight. We've loved your company, your questions, and your support of the Commonwealth Bank Matildas. Have a great night. You're going to be up early. See you soon, and go the Matildas.
Delivery and poking on, it's in for the Matildas.